Warning, this video contains team selection and captain choices which some viewers may find offensive.
Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. Before looking ahead to Game Week 7, let's see how my team performed during last week's Game Week. Starting with the negatives, as you know, I've had an absolute nightmare with captaincy this season, with none of my captains returning points since Game Week 1, and last week I chose to stick by Raheem Sterling, who was ultimately benched in that tantalising home fixture against Watford. As mentioned in my previous team video, there was always a chance of Sterling getting benched, but the good thing is that when Sterling got rested last season, he often stayed on the bench, and therefore the vice-captaincy in FPL would usually come into play. Agonisingly though, unlike so many managers who vice-captained Kevin De Bruyne, I on the other hand put the armband on Sadio Mane of course, who also blanked, providing yet further evidence that everything I touch turns to absolute cow shit. Standard. But that's enough of the negativity, because despite getting 5 captaincy blanks in a row, which by the way must be some kind of record, Game Week 6 actually turned out to be a very decent game week. And although I didn't get much luck with my captain, I did get lots of fortune from the man, the myth, the legend John Lundstrom, coming off my bench with a lovely 12-pointer. Much needed. Other positives included Kevin De Bruyne's monster 17-point haul, which still meant a lot despite not being my vice-captain. John McGinn also hit double figures against a leaky Arsenal, whilst the expensive Harry Kane continues to tick over, picking up 8 points with a well-taken goal against Leicester. Harry Kane is still yet to justify his price tags, but I need all the points I can get at the moment, so a goal from him was more than welcomed. Perhaps the best part of the game week though was being rewarded with a goal, an assist and a clean sheet from Otamendi for a brilliant 15 points. Having opted for Laporte over Zinchenko earlier this season and having him get injured, it was nice to finally have one of my decisions pay off. So despite another very frustrating captaincy blank, my team still picked up 75 points last week, by far my best game week of the season. This score gave me a significant rank boost up from 3.2 million to 1.7, almost halving my rank. And even though I'm still way off the pace this season, it definitely makes things a bit more respectable, and hopefully I can keep this momentum going now for future weeks and really get this season back on track. So let's move on to Game Week 7 now, and with 2 free transfers available, let's see which players are potentially heading in and out of the team. Also, if you enjoy the content here at FPL TV, be sure to drop a like on the video and most importantly get subscribed if you haven't already. You can also hit the notification bell so you always know when a new video goes live. Heading into Game Week 7, it's Chelsea players that are real hot property in FPL, and that's due to their incredible run of favourable fixtures now. So with Tammy Abraham scoring 7 goals in his last 4 Premier League games, he does feel like a sensible player to bring in. Mason Mount and Tomori are also considerations of mine, but with Luca Digne currently underperforming in my squad, and with Chelsea left-back Emerson out injured, is Marcus Alonso now a viable differential for the next few game weeks? We know how deadly he can be going forward, and Chelsea's fixtures do look very appealing. However, it still feels like a dangerous move, because with Emerson only out for roughly a month, how many game weeks can we get out of Alonso realistically? Especially with an international break coming up soon, giving Emerson further time to recover. A tempting differential, but perhaps only for the big risk takers out there. As a much safer bet to replace Luca Digne, Trent Alexander-Arnold's a player I feel I must own as soon as possible. His chance creation this season has been nothing short of phenomenal, so whereas Alonso is a risky choice, Trent feels like the opposite, a no-brainer to own for the long term. The only issue with me wanting Alexander-Arnold is that I can't afford a straight swap for Digne, and will therefore have to downgrade elsewhere. The last player that I'm thinking to bring in this game week is Tottenham's Son, with his next 3 games looking particularly appealing. Bringing in the South Korean would provide me with a strong differential captain option this game week, which could be very handy given my current overall rank. As for players potentially leaving my squad this week, as mentioned, Luca Digne is one player I'm starting to lose patience with, and although his chance creation has been great, Everton's forwards are simply not in good enough form to finish them off, making his impressive underlying stats all count for nothing. The same conundrum I seem to face every game week is whether to finally drop Harry Kane. Replacing him with Abraham will release some much needed funds, but can I really sell Harry Kane before Southampton at home? It's a move I'm really struggling to do. Also, with Harry Kane currently in my squad, he actually feels a very decent captaincy shout for me this week, so I'm really torn on whether it's worth selling him this week or not. The last player potentially on the chopping block this game week is Sadio Mane, with FPL listing him as a slight injury concern for the weekend. As far as I'm aware, he should be fine to play on the weekend, and heading into any game week without Mane or Salah is always a worry. But ultimately, he is one way for me to bring in Son instead, and this wouldn't have to be a long-term move. After the next 3 game weeks, when Tottenham's fixtures get much harder, that would be a much easier time to downgrade Harry Kane, with the view to then bring Mane or Salah back into the squad in the near future. So that's my thought process on players potentially coming in and out of the team this week, and without any transfers made yet, here's how it currently shapes up for game week 7. If I am to hold on to Luca Digne, he'll be reduced to the bench this game week, as will John Lundstram. However, with Martin Kelly looking to have lost his starting place for Palace, it's likely I'll have to end up playing one of them anyway if I don't make a defensive transfer. As for Mason Greenwood, who currently occupies first spot on my bench, he's a player with 2 goals in his last 2 appearances for United. So, with them having a bit of an injury crisis up front, there's definitely scope for me to play him against a leaky Arsenal instead of Norwich's Cantwell, who's away to Palace. Benching Cantwell has not gone well for me so far this season, but the Canaries haven't looked half as good away from home, so that's something to consider. For the captaincy this week, I've almost given up hope that I'm ever going to get this right. With Man City looking so rampant against Watford and now facing an out-of-form Everton, De Bruyne and Sterling are the main candidates to take the honours. Psychologically, I think because I've now captained Sterling for 3 game weeks in a row, part of me wants to keep going with him as he's bound to deliver something soon. It's a bit like putting your money into a fruit machine and refusing to leave until you finally get that payout. Though this thought process probably isn't the best way to pick my captain. Although, if I am to keep Harry Kane, I may just be tempted to throw the captaincy on him this week. Granted, he's not been prolific so far this season, but I am in need of a differential choice, and him or Son could tick that box at home to Southampton. So that's my thought process and potential plans heading into game week 7. There's still lots for me to decide this week, so apologies that my team selection isn't very definitive for this weekend. I'm going to go away now and have a good think about this before the deadline. I wish you all the best for this upcoming game week, FPL responsibly, and I'll catch you all soon.